once again, and this is the it, man. My best and worst movies of 2021. I got my list right here of my films that I saw this year, and there's gonna be a couple of honorable mentions, dishonorable mentions, and also the shows that I enjoyed this year, which it's not really a part of the list. I'm just gonna get it over with. This is gonna be in two parts. That way, you guys can see it. You don't have to see an hour-long video. You can just see it in two parts. The first part is going to be my dishonorable mentions and the five worst movies I saw this year. Well, not in the theater because I didn't go to the theater to see. Hey, network, what's up? It's Eddie. What's up? It's been a while. Uh, but first, I'm going to start with the shows that I enjoyed this year in 2021. I'm going to mention like four of them probably. WandaVision was the best show on streaming this year in 2021 on Disney Plus. It's not a movie, but it's based on a movie. The Wanda and Vision were in the Avengers Age of Ultron, Civil War, Infinity War, and Wanda showed up at the end of Endgame. Her show was really funny, really cute, and had great action. It had a great tone. Monica Tiana Paris was a breakout star, gorgeous woman. I love that woman. She's my Nubian queen. And the show had its heart in the right place. So that's good. Did you like Hawkeye? Yeah, I'm going to mention that soon. The second one was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It had a lot of social commentary about the world we live in today. You finally got a black Captain America, which is something I wanted to see. It was the darkest show of all the shows, the most violent of the four shows, live action shows that came out this year, and it was very entertaining. Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan still can act as these characters, and it was a continuation. It had a lot more action than a lot of the other shows. The third show was Superman and Lois. Best show I saw on the CW, hands down. All the other shows paled in comparison. They either ended poorly or they lost me. This is the only good show that we saw all year. I'm seeing No Way Home today. Good. Enjoy yourself. It's a great freaking movie. Um, but anyway, back to Superman and Lois. The first season was phenomenal. I cried. I was invested in the characters. These actors nailed it. I wasn't watching actors play a role. I was seeing the characters come to life on screen. Um, the second season, I'm hoping for the best for 2022 because I really don't want this to turn into Supergirl because that just ended on a low note. And I just hope that next year the DC shows and the Marvel shows are better, but we'll see. And the last one is Hawkeye. I just watched the first five episodes. This week is the final episode on Wednesday. Uh, there were problems. Binto, I don't care about because she was thrown in there at the last minute. Echo is there. I don't really care about her. But Kate Bishop is great. Haley Steinfeld is really good. Jeremy Renner's great. The action's really good. There's a sense of humor in it. The stakes are high. The acting is really good, except for Binto. That goes without saying. I'll get to her when I get to my uh, honorable mentions. But anyway, those shows were the ones that really enticed me this year. They were really good, and they didn't let me down like some other shows did this year. So that's enough of the shows. Let's get to the list now. My first dishonorable mention is Gunpowder Milkshake. Yes, I know. I wanted to like this movie, but I couldn't finish it. I saw Karen Gillan was not the problem with this movie. I said it from when I saw the movie and half of it, and when I got to the point where she dropped the cookie jar on that guy. This movie should have been a comedy. The fact that she kills all these guys, there's no guy character that's strong. The other women are underused. Lena Headey and Carla Gugino and Michelle Yeoh, they're all underused. So I don't even know why they got big name actresses to be in this film. They don't do anything. It's just a waste of their talent. It was underwhelming. I think the writing was just really weak. And I've seen this movie done better. The Expendables did this better. It really did. The first two Expendables. And even other movies with women, with a group of women, that did it better. Even Death Proof was better than this because at least the writing was a lot stronger. Here, it failed me. I was just like, I don't want to see a sequel unless it's got more action. They don't take it as seriously, and you only have Karen and you if you're gonna have another girl, use them. The little girl with the albino girl with the afro had more to do than the other women in this movie, and it was just underwhelming. I couldn't finish it, but that's my first dishonorable mention. Not horrible, but it could have been a lot better. My second one is another Netflix movie. Hey Jay, what's up? It's Sweet Girl. This is a movie with Isabella Moner and Jason Momoa. I hated the twist in this movie. The twist is what took me out of this film. I saw the film on Netflix a few months ago, and I was like, well, this is not half bad. Jason Momoa is trying. Isabella Mona's being dramatic, but the twist at the end in the third act just took me out completely. I don't want to spoil it for those of you that haven't seen the movie yet, but it's a twist that's going to take you out. And it, wait, is this thing? Yeah, okay, it's working now. But I will never watch this movie again. It was just underwhelming. It could have been a lot better. It was really slow. It was really long too. It was almost 2 hours. It didn't need to be that long. A lot of talking and just for a Netflix movie, it should have been a home run, but it was not. It was a swing and a miss. But hey, I got through this one at least. Better luck next time, Isabella Moner. And this one, I've been waiting to do a rant on this for a while. This is the most disappointing movie I saw this year. I will do a rant on it when I get my new computer in a few days, hopefully next week. Eternals. Yes, on MCU movies and my disappointments of the year. I'm sorry, guys. I hated this film. I was so underwhelmed in the theater. It was boring. It was way too long. The characters were really underdeveloped, and the Binto here, Cersei, was the worst lead of the MCU this year. Eternals was frustrating, Josh. Yes, it was, because this is an MCU movie. This is not a DCU movie from almost 10 years ago. This was the 26th movie in this franchise in 13 and a half years, and this is the best you can do. You do this underwhelming, boring freaking movie with a director of No Man Land that won an Oscar. Yeah, this was not for me. I was bored out of my mind. I thought the movie was it's nice to look at, but that's all that the movie has going for it. And I don't want to talk too much more about it. I'll do my rant on it in a few days. I know you liked it, Network. You don't have to tell me. It's for people. It's for teenagers. This is not a movie for me. I'm already past the age range for movies like this. Slow burn movies that have no atmosphere and are way too long and just dull. I just saw Spider Man, and that's going to be my best of the year. Spoiler alert, but that was not boring. This movie was, and I never want to see it again. I'm not watching it on Disney Plus. I'm not going to own it. It's not for me. Period. Okay, now we'll get to the worst, and then I'll get to my second part of the honorable mentions and the best movies I saw this year. In my opinion, remember these are all my opinions. They don't have to be yours, mine. So the worst of. Let's start with number five. This was another boring Netflix movie I saw. This one is the worst. Well, the worst movie that for kids. It's Finding Ohana. I did a rant on this months ago on my old computer. It's the worst Netflix movie that they did for kids this year. It was so dull. It was 2 hours long. It was a bad mix of the Goonies, the Dora the Explorer movie, and other films you've seen like Moana or Lilo and Stitch. It's boring, man. I sat through this movie on Netflix in the winter, and I was so bored. I wanted to shut it off at least two or three times. The humor didn't work. The cast didn't work. You wasted actresses like my favorite is yeah, I know. I'm gonna get to that. You waste actresses like Kelly who was a gorgeous actress from back in the '90s, and you don't give her anything to do. There's too many subtitles in this movie. I told you I'm lazy. I don't want to read a movie. I want to watch it, not read it. And just it was uninspired. If I could see the Goonies, which is under 2 hours, I could see find Moana or Lilo and Stitch or even the Dora movie, which was like 90 minutes. It's a brisk to get through. This was not. This was a slog and a half, and then you can skip it. If you haven't seen this on Netflix, don't. It's boring. Yeah, they have nice shots of Hawaii. I can see Hawaii from a distance. I don't need to see it in a movie for 2 hours long. That just goes nowhere, and it's uninspired. Skip this movie. It's a stupid movie. Okay, next is number four. It pains me to do this, but yeah, this was a Scooby Doo film that I saw on B Flix. It was just so underwhelming. Like I didn't laugh once, and that was Scooby Doo and the Sword and the Scoob. Yeah, this was dull. I chuckled once in this movie. Once. The cast just seemed bored. I don't know what it was, but they were phoning it in. I didn't. The mystery was not interesting. They did a back in time thing, which we've seen in other Scooby Doo films, and this was this year's Scoob. At least this is a Scooby Doo film. It's not a world. It's not a multiverse movie, but it's skippable. It's forgettable. Is it worse than Music of the Vampire? No. That one was way more annoying. They were singing show tunes and bobbing their head like it didn't fit. Here, this was just a skippable one. Like if I never saw this again, I'll be like, yeah, I didn't miss out on anything. There were better Scooby films that came out last year, and there were better Scooby films that came out years ago. The live action movies are better than this. Yes, even the first one. As bad as the CG is and it's the story is stupid, it's still better than this movie. At least that movie had gave me a laugh or two. This I didn't laugh once. I chuckled with one thing that Jason Isaacs said, and I'm like, please stop voice acting, dude. You're not good at it. You were Dick Dastardly in Scoob, and now you're in this. Please stop. You're not a voice actor. Obviously, you're not Frank Welker. But anyway, just skip this one. If you haven't seen Sword in the Scoob, it's a pass, an easy freaking pass. Okay, next number three is this is the last Netflix movie on my list. It was the worst one because of the potential you wasted, and that is Outside the Rim. What the hell were they thinking with this movie? You take Universal Soldier, put a black man in it, and make him like an anti-hero villain? I don't know. I don't remember. Anthony Mackie was wasted in this movie. The guy from Overlord, the Black Bento in that movie, he didn't do it for me here. He's a very boring lead, underwhelming. The movie has no sense of humor. Like, there's not one joke in the movie. It's way too dark. Not dark to look at, just dark in tone. The film has a lot of boring, and the action sequences bored me. I mean, you would think that an action movie would entertain me for almost 2 hours. I was not. I was dull. I was bored out of my mind. The action in Extraction was better with Chris Hemsworth. At least that movie had a story that was flowing well. Here, it just stalled for time and it was too talky. So like a David Ayer movie, since you said it was racist. No, this movie's not racist, but it's just dull. It's dull, and it's just lifeless. I look at this movie and I'm like, you brought Anthony Mackie in this after Falcon and the Winter Soldier? It was not worth it. He was wasted in this movie, and he should have been the lead. You didn't need a substitution, but it's forgettable. It's a movie that I didn't see Cosmic Sin, and I won't. But this was my Cosmic Sin for this year when it came to Netflix movies. And if you didn't see it, good. You didn't miss out on much. You miss out on Anthony Mackie just, going through the motions, and he could have done better. And it was R-rated, so they didn't have any excuses. But anyway, Outside the Rim is dumb. Don't see it. Please don't. You'll waste your time. Cosmic Sin looks awful. I know. I'm not seeing it. Okay, number two. This was a bad Asylum movie. And you know me, I like some of the movies in the Asylum. I love the Sharknado movies. They're guilty pleasures. I laugh every time I watch them. This was not funny. This was dull. The effects are horrible. The acting is bad. The writing is bad. And even the fight with the monsters at the end, it's like less than a minute. Just go see Godzilla versus Kong. That's basically what this movie was ripping off. And that's Ape versus Monster. This is the worst monster movie of 2021. And I know you're going to say, oh, there were worse movies this year. Yeah, but the effects are the worst I've ever seen in any Asylum movie. In any of the live action Asylum movies. Because I'm like, other ones you can at least laugh at how bad the effects are. Here, the effects aren't even bad to laugh at. They look like a video game from the 90s. It's that bad. Yeah, that's the phone. I'm not answering it. Godzilla vs. Kong was way better. I know, and it was not. And that movie, while it had problems, I was more entertained. This was not entertaining. It's skippable. It's worthless. It's a bad ripoff that you could see better films. You could see the original King Kong vs. Godzilla, and it's way better. And that was made in the 60s. So there's no excuse here. These movies have no excuses. An Asylum movie can cost $1 million, and you could do something with it. Do something different. Stop making movies. I'm going to make rip-off parody movies, mockbusters, even though nobody has cared about them since the 2000s. Because they're always crappy, retreads of films that came out the same year or like years ago. But anyway, this is one of the Asylum's worst outings, especially recently. You can do better. I mean, come on. You have Eric Roberts, and he's phoning it in. He's literally laughing at how bad the script is. I know, because there's like 2 scenes in the movie where he had a smile on his face, and he's supposed to be the villain, and he's not intimidating. He was a better villain than The Expendables. But anyway, that's the worst Asylum movie of the year. And now, my worst movie I sat through this year. I sat through it at home. I didn't go to the theater because I was not going to see garbage in the theater this year as much as possible. This one is the worst. I didn't see music, so it's not on the list. I couldn't get through it because I'm like, I don't want to see a movie about insulting the mentally handicapped and, a bad music video acid trip. This movie is the worst I've seen. It's the worst action movie of the year, one of the worst films of this decade, probably the worst film I've seen in 2 decades. Vanquish. Oh my freaking God, this movie was freaking horrible. I don't know what they were thinking with this movie. Vanquish is the worst thing I've seen Ruby Rose in. She can't act, guys. We already said that. I said that in The Meg and in freaking in Batwoman and in the Triple X Return of Xander Cage. She can't act. There's a reason why this was barely in theaters. Morgan Freeman was wasted. How can you waste an Oscar caliber actor like Morgan Freeman? Because he'll say yes to everything. Yeah, I'm like, no. You didn't need to be in this. He's sitting in a wheelchair the whole freaking movie, and he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. Is Ruby Rose worse than Binto? They're on the same level. Binto just has the worst accent. Ruby Rose, even with her normal accent, she's boring to listen to. She has my haircut for the whole movie, and the movie's incoherent. The action sequences are bad. The CGI blood, it looks laughable. The film it's not 2 hours, but it was slow and boring, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. Thankfully, I'll never have to watch this movie again. Don't. It's a waste of your time. Well, that's it for the list. So I have to get the mail. So I'll see you in the second part. Hold on.